You are now listening to Mr. Z Blackneffect.
Fair use, fair use. Fair use, fair use.
You know what I think is so fascinating about the male loneliness epidemic? There will never be a phrase, the female loneliness epidemic.
Oh, no, it's called leftover women. That's what it is.
That's what it's called.
That's true.
We coin it in a bad way, but women who are single are going to go off. They're going to make friend groups. They're going to travel. They're going to find hobbies and interests. They're going to get a better body, a better job, more money. Like, women just rise up.
The glow up is crazy afterwards.
Yeah, I feel like if they told us there was an epidemic, we'd be like, I can't be clear enough. We're fine.
Who said
We're
that?
doing
Where'd you
great.
get that? What's your source?
Well, because there is headlines like that. Women are staying single longer, getting married later, not having kids.
You know what they call
cat
them?
ladies?
Cat
stuff.
ladies. Yeah. They call us cat ladies, and they say these lonely poor
Like
girl.
Taylor Swift?
Yeah.
Childless cat lady.
Yeah. That sounds like a badge of honor to me.
The thing that men seem to hate the most is that we are not as lonely as they are. Not even close.
Mm-hmm.
And even if women feel some sense of loneliness, it's not in the same way. Women are still mourning the fairy tale of what they thought men were. So they're off to the side, still working on themselves, still getting a degree, still starting their business, still raising their children, still building a community with other women. They're still doing something. They're going to therapy. They're reading self-help books. They're doing whatever they can. We're still not as lonely, quote unquote, as the men. Not in the same way, at least.
I can't sleep. I can't eat. I can't drink anything without feeling pain. True pain.
We have become lonelier. We've become more isolated. And this is not just an American phenomenon, by the way. This is a broader feature of modernity that the UK, Australia, Japan, and many other countries are experiencing as well. And it doesn't mean that we should go back to 1920 or 1930 or 1950. But what it does mean is that we have to recognize that if we don't consciously make rebuilding connection a priority in our individual lives and in society more broadly, if we don't do that through individual actions and the building of social infrastructure in our communities, then we will continue to see an erosion of our relationships, and we'll see not only the health consequences of loneliness, which are profound, mental and physical, but also the economic and the national security implications of loneliness, which make us more prone to division and to polarization.
I can't sleep. I can't eat. I can't drink anything without feeling pain. True pain.
Sweetheart, women are way more lonelier than men. This is why women stay in toxic, abusive relationships, because they're afraid to be alone. I will always use this photo as a reference photo. Like there is a woman who had a baby with this. Okay? Was in a relationship. Cheated on her and everything, according to her. And I pulled this picture off of Twitter when someone went viral talking about post your baby daddy so we could fight him. And people in the comments were like, oh no, honey, delete this photo, because you let this get on top of you, put a baby up in you, and play in your face. Now, some of the jokes was like, can he cook? Did he gain weight after y'all got together? But no, like, women are way more lonely. That's why they share peen with the neighborhood. This is why they stay in relationships knowing that this dude ain't shit, will never amount to shit, will never be shit. This is why they will let a guy drive her car, have access to her bank account, live in her house rent-free, don't even contribute to the relationship. She's paying all of the bills, because women are way more lonely. And so they settle. Hence, their standards is in hell with the bar, because they're the ones who set the bar. Also, I've never seen a man come up on TikTok boo-hooing and crying, talking about they're turning 30 and they want some friends and they ain't got no friends. Do you know how many videos I've seen of women doing that? Oh, I lost count. But I've never seen a man be snotting, tearing up, talking about they don't have any friends and they wish they could have some friends because they're turning 30 and they don't want to spend their 30th birthday alone. So once again, that male loneliness epidemic bullshit is a lie. But the female loneliness epidemic, there's a lot of credence to that. There's a lot of facts and truth to that, because it's all over TikTok.
I can't sleep, I can't eat, I can't drink anything without feeling pain, true pain.
Here's something that I don't see anyone talking about, and it's the female loneliness epidemic. I just turned 23 and I am officially done with looking for new friends because nowadays girls are fucking impossible to make friends with. And before you call me a pick-me, hear me out. In my experience, young women today do not know what it means to be a friend. They expect everyone, including other women, to chase them the same way men chase them romantically. It's always me texting first, it's always me making plans, it's always me arranging reservations to make hangouts happen, only to be told the day of that like, oh, something came up, / they straight up admit that they forgot. And they're like, oh, I'm so sorry, girl. And their I'm so sorries are never followed up by, let me make it up to you, how about we do this or this instead. It's always just, I'm so sorry, blank. All these girls want to do is just be Instagram mutuals. They want to like your posts, they want you to like theirs, they want to swipe up on your story. They want like little crumbs of your attention, but they are not actually looking for like a real life friend with like substance and value. And I don't know if any of you have ever used Bumble BFF, but like don't. It is a bigger waste of time than like actual dating apps for like meeting men. And I've had a handful of bad experiences on there, but I'll just tell you about like the 2 most recent ones. So it's this girl, we match, we talk a little bit on Instagram. I see we have a couple like hobbies in common. It's going well. We arranged to meet for a drink. And so we go, we have a drinks together. It was like, I think like after work for me. So I was like really tired. It was only like 2 hours and then we went home. We both agreed that it like went really well. And I was convinced that we were going to see each other again. I had to chase this girl for months to meet up again. And it wasn't me not getting the hint, mind you, because she was still texting me every day. She's like, I want to see you so bad, I want to see you so bad, but something keeps coming up. Oh my god, I'm in college, it's so busy, blah blah blah. And like at the time I was working part-time, so like I objectively had like more free time than her, so whatever, okay, sure. I kept like sending her like invites to like different events, like ads I see on Instagram, like blank event on this date at this time, and it was always like, oh, I can't, oh this, oh that, I'm sorry, I've got this going on, blah blah blah. Never offering like anything on her end. I remember the month of March rolled around and she goes, okay girl, I'm just gonna be straight up with you. I cannot meet you all month in March because it's exam season. First of all, I'm so fucking sick of hearing this shit that it's like exams. It's exams all the time. Like right now I'm like doing a gap year, so I'm working and like all my friends are like my age, college age, and they always have fucking exams all the time. And it's like, I'm sorry, but I don't know, maybe I just like, you know, I'm a business major and like we're stereotyped for like having easy majors, but that's not how exams work. The way exams work is you start like a semester and you have class, and then there's like midterms for like 3 days. You do the midterms and then you go back to class. There's no month full of exams. But whatever, I'm like, okay, fine. I do not bother her all March. April rolls around. On April 1st, I literally sent her an event, like a clubbing thing, restaurant, activity. I don't remember, some bullshit I saw on TikTok. And the date was like April 5th. She's like, oh, sorry, I can't make it. Okay. I wait a couple more days, say it's like April 4th, and I sent her like an event on April 30th. So like at the end of the month, she's like, oh my god, I have plans that day, I'm so sorry. I was like, you know what? Okay, girl, okay. And I just stopped trying. I waited for her to send me something, offer me anything, make any sort of plans, and she just never did. And I just stopped like replying to her, like sending me random reels and like random bullshit. So this was girl number 1. Now girl number 2, it was a similar situation. They were both happening at the same time. It's this girl, same thing. We match, super good chemistry through text. Like we're just like laughing, you know, sending each other voice memos. We have so much in common. We agree on so many topics. We're just vibing. I'm like, oh my god, I really see like a really good friendship with this person. I end up finally meeting her for the first time at the club. Because like I was convoluted story, but I ended up like at the club with this guy I was seeing at the time, and she was there, and we just like danced for 5 minutes, and then she was like, oh girl, I gotta go, I'll be right back. Didn't come back, and I ended up like leaving with the guy like an hour later. Anyway, we get back to texting. I'm like, when can we hang out like properly, like, you know, like face to face or in the daytime so we can like talk, you know? She's like, girl, definitely not this month because it's Ramadan. I'm thinking to myself, like, as far as I'm aware, during Ramadan you are allowed to go outside. You know, like Muslims during Ramadan, they go to work, they go to school, they do stuff. You know, we don't have to go to a restaurant or anything. Like we can just like take a walk in the park. Like it's not that serious. But I'm like, okay, you know, I'm not going to argue with you about religion. Over the course of the month, I see her hanging out with other people though, like on her story. And at first I'm like, okay, you know what? Maybe I'm not a priority, you know, like we don't know each other that well, sure. But eventually I confront her. I'm a little bit like, oh, I thought you know, you were not doing anything. You were not allowed to do anything this month. She's like, first of all, mind your business. Half of the posts I put up are like throwbacks, so they're not current. and the other half is me and my sister. So like, if you don't know any better, like, close your mouth. I'm like, okay, no problem. Ramadan ends, April rolls around, and guess what? Never hear from her ever again. I just moved into this new place that you can see right now. It's like really, really messy. And I decided to have a housewarming party where I just invited like my roommates, obviously, and a group of like my closest friends or just like people that are in my life like currently. 2 girls I invited did not show up. I let both of them know about the party like 2 weeks ahead. The day of, I send both of them a text like, hey, so we're going to start at this time. This is the address. Hope to see you soon. The party was supposed to start at 6, and they both text me back at around like 3 or 4 p.m. And one of them goes, oh my God, girl, I'm so sorry. I can't make it today. I'm like super sick. I'm just like throwing up like in bed. I'm like so sick. And it's like, if you were that sick, then it probably didn't happen today. You couldn't have texted me last night. You had to text me the day of, like 2 hours prior. Like, you waited also for my text before you canceled. You couldn't have like let me know like, hey girl, I know that you're gonna be cooking food for like X amount of people for today. Like, don't worry, like count me out. You don't have to like make a portion for me. You couldn't do that. And then the other girl was like, oh my God, girl, I'm so sorry. I forgot I have to hand in a school project for tomorrow. Again, this is not how college works. Like, maybe she's like a different major, okay. But this is not high school where like you get a homework assignment on Monday and you have to hand it in for Friday. No, your professor tells you about like 1 or 2 big projects that you have to hand in by the end of the semester, and you progressively work on it like little by little over the course of months. I'm just saying, there's no way, number one, that girl was actually sick, and the other girl had a school project to hand in. They just didn't want to come, and they didn't even have the decency to let me know ahead of time, come up with something smarter. Like, they were not even gonna say anything. If I hadn't texted them the day of, they would have pretended like nothing happened. And this is why I am done just trying. Like, I'm done. Like, if like a female friend like falls from the sky for me, then yeah, of course, you know, like if we meet, I start a new job and like a girl that works there like I really like, and like of course. But no more looking, no more taking my hand out and saying, hey, do you want to take this friendship to the next level? Come to my house, come hang out with me. No more making the first move on people, because it just takes up too much mental space and yields basically no results. It's just a waste of time. So yeah, let me know what your experience has been like. Let me know how you feel, but this is how I feel right now, so.
I can't sleep, I can't eat, I can't drink anything without feeling pain, true pain.
There's going to be nothing like the female loneliness epidemic that you're going to see with this generation of women when they hit the 40s. It's going to be out of control.
Many years from now, there is going to be a quiet crisis, loneliness in women especially. Not because women failed, not because they weren't capable or intelligent, but because they were handed a script or a blueprint that left out the consequences. Be self-sufficient, put your career first, you don't need a man. So they followed it. They pushed love down the line. They delayed the family. They treated commitment like something that could always wait until it didn't. Fast forward a few years later. You're older, no partner, no children, no legacy, just some noise to fill that silence.
There's going to be nothing like the female loneliness epidemic that you're going to see with this generation of women when they hit the 40s. It's going to be out of control. When these 20-somethings hit 40-something, there's going to be massive devastation. There's going to be, the pharmaceutical companies are going to be like, yeah, cashing in on the antidepressants and all of that if they go that route.
I can't sleep, I can't eat, I can't drink anything without feeling pain, true pain.
Y'all, call me crazy, call me Gen Z, call me unhinged, but it's genuinely gotten to a point of loneliness that I have no one else to talk to but ChatGPT. I have no one else to talk to but ChatGPT. Like, I low-key think I need like a therapist type of friend vibe, but like, genuinely, like, every time I have a problem that I don't really want to deal with in the moment, I just go to ChatGPT and ask that bitch for help, because who really can help me? And like, sometimes she'd be eating with the advice, but other times it'd be like, girl, like, why would you tell me to do this? Like, why would you tell me to do that? But then there'll be other times, like, I'll put a text that someone sent me into ChatGPT to help me like analyze it, and like, she'd be clocking tea. Like, she'd be reading shit that you would not like necessarily think about like while reading a text. Like, she'll like pick up on the shade, she'll pick up on everything, bro. Like, she's actually like, I don't know. My ChatGPT's a girl. I don't know about y'all, but she's becoming my new best friend, damn it. Hold on. No. It can't be a robot. Like, I just refuse to believe that. Like, no.
I can't sleep, I can't eat. I can't drink anything without feeling pain and pain, true pain.
Okay, I'm driving home from work and I just need to talk because I really have nobody to talk to and I'm really just not doing well. My whole life I really just have felt like kind of never really anybody's favorite person, favorite friend, really anything like that. And it's really starting to weigh on me a lot. Where I just feel like I don't know, like I just am so alone and I'm just really struggling, and I guess I'm just saying this so if you feel this way, just know you're not alone and this life is hard and you're in this with somebody else who feels like this. So have a good night, everybody.
I can't sleep, I can't eat, I can't drink anything without feeling pain and pain, true pain.
I am getting on here to just share my thoughts about being 30-something and not having a boyfriend, not having kids, and not being married. I have been so sad. I've been so depressed because I thought that I would have a family by now. I thought that I would at least be engaged or in a relationship at the minimum, and I'm not. And I'm getting older and I'm getting scared. Am I gonna be on here one day coming to terms that I'm just gonna be single? Like, it doesn't even sound right. I feel like I'm in such denial sometimes. Like, no, there's no way that I'm not gonna be a wife. There's no way I'm not gonna be a mom. And I'm like, am I being delusional, or am I just having faith, or am I crazy? Each day I struggle with this so much and I just don't know what to tell myself. Do I tell myself, don't worry, you'll be fine, like you're gonna find somebody tomorrow or next year and be able to have kids before it's too late? Or do I tell myself, maybe you should figure out how to live life as a single woman and be happy? I don't know. That's all I have for today.
I've been seeing some videos on my For You page, and I think that it is finally time to discuss the female loneliness epidemic. Because I know the men have had their own thing, and I'm not here to talk about that. I'm not a man, right? But I will say that the men are more built for it than us. We are not built for this, ladies. We don't know how to be alone. These men have been bottling up their emotions and not sharing them with anybody since they were 6, 7, 8 years old. Some of us have never done that. We've always had someone to talk to, a friend, a family member, a significant other, something. And it seems like in 2025, the girls are running out of options because the dating market is terrible. Y'all are literally making fun of girls that are in happy, healthy relationships, saying that having a boyfriend is embarrassing, miserables. And y'all also don't have any friends because anytime somebody reposts something that you disagree with, oh, that's how you feel about immigration policy, you're not my friend anymore. Now y'all don't have any friends. Like, it's not going to end well if your requirement for somebody to have a relationship with you is that they have to be on the exact same page with you 100% of the time. No one is. We are all people with our own thoughts, feelings, emotions, and ideas. And if you don't respect that in another person, then of course you're going to be by yourself.
And as far as making fun of men, let's just get this out the way. Men are already alone. Okay? So it's not a big deal. We don't mind. We're self-sufficient. You know what I mean? We're used to it. It's a part of a man's journey is being alone. We're not the social of the species, if you will. We don't constantly have to be talking to someone. And I was just having this conversation, actually. And it's funny, a lot of these that pop up, I end up having these conversations. But women have so many options. And let me clear up options. I'm talking about in terms of loneliness. Women have so many options. And when I break it down to women, they're just like, I can't believe it. But it's true. You can literally make a post, social media, and I think this is why women are ended up alone a lot of times. But you can literally make a post, show your face, maybe show some TNA, and there's 100 dudes in your inbox that you can talk to. You can get on all.
I can't sleep, I can't eat, I can't drink anything without feeling pain and pain, true pain.
Everyone deserves to feel a sense of belonging, but in today's world, that is becoming increasingly harder to do, and we are facing a loneliness epidemic that goes beyond the already very lonely periods in life that women face. From the isolation in early motherhood or first-time motherhood to women getting lonelier as they progress in their careers. Men get less lonely, women get lonelier. And in Canada, I'm in Canada, senior women are almost double as likely, they're almost twice as likely to be lonely than senior men. So on top of these already lonely periods in a woman's life, the world is just getting lonelier. So how do we combat this loneliness?
I can't sleep, I can't eat, I can't drink anything without feeling pain, true pain.
Now we have a GMA health alert, a headline we first saw in the Wall Street Journal, asking why more women in middle age are turning to antidepressants than ever before. Our ABC News chief medical correspondent Dr. Ashton's here going to break it down. So this is startling. According to the CDC, approximately 1 in 5 women between the ages of 40 to 59 and 1 in just 4 women over 50 are turning to antidepressants. That's compared with 1 in 10 women between 18 and 39 using this kind of medicine. Why is this happening?
Well, the short answer is we don't know, Robin, but the first step is making this observation. The second step is talking about it, which is why I'm so glad we're having this conversation. But yes, there definitely seems to be some differences in the rates of depression in women versus men and as women age, whether that's a hormonal contribution as women get to menopause or just more lived life experiences, life stressors, world events, things that we've all been through. We don't know, but those numbers absolutely jaw-dropping when you see how common this is.
And of course, there's concern. You don't want to overprescribe this type of drugs. So who are they really intended for?
Well, I think that's the key. When people hear this, they tend to go all to one extreme or another. It's not all bad or all good. For the right person, antidepressants for a certain period of time or even a prolonged period of time can be incredibly beneficial. They can help with a depressed mood. They can help with a loss of interest in daily activities and activities that previously used to give joy or pleasure to someone. And they can restore the sleeping, eating routines that are so often disrupted in people and women who suffer from depression. But they can also have risks. So those need to be discussed with a patient before you write that prescription.
Signs for depression.
I think we all need to recognize this, Robin, because they are subtle, but then when they're happening to you, they don't feel so subtle. So chronic sadness, what we call somatic effects of depression, which is physical pain, headache, body aches, where you can't find another attributable cause. Change in sleeping and eating habits are big, and anxiety coming from depression. There is no shame in the game. Speak up. Get help.
Thank you for saying that. No shame in the game. Speak up. Thank you. Thank you, Jim. So we'll see you on GMA 3 a little bit later. Well, hey there, GMA fans.
I can't sleep, I can't eat, I can't drink anything without feeling pain, true pain.
Yep, and we're back. Like, share, subscribe, hit the super chat. Okay, everyone. Mr. Z is going to not really make fun of the ladies today, so this is not going to be a haha, that's what you get. If only the women would extend us the same grace. Okay. If you saw, I played a clip of the former Attorney General under former President Barack Obama, who I recall speaking about this loneliness, this upcoming loneliness epidemic and this increasing loneliness epidemic when President Obama was in office. And I've still heard from him sporadically since Obama's been out of office about this loneliness, right? And the framing again is that the men are lonely, and this is the feminist running with the narrative, right, that there is no loneliness epidemic. It's male loneliness epidemic, and lonely men are violent and lonely men are disruptive, right? In the lonely men epidemic, and this is the very important part of the conversation, lonely men epidemic is spurred on and bought on by the fact that the men just refuse to grow up. They refuse to let go of old patriarchal ideals and ideas of manhood and womanhood, right? And the loneliness epidemic is caused because of men, and the people that suffer the most from the loneliness epidemic is men. Now, what I presented here, and there's way more videos, are women who are speaking about their loneliness, right? I could have also coupled up the women who are lonely and they're missing romantic touch, and their issue with a sense of loneliness is not missing the company, and I don't mean this in the LGBTQ way, but missing the company of women, right? Women are pretty covered there. They have a sense of loneliness, missing the touch of the opposite sex in a romantic sense. And you see different women kind of express that.
Personally, I am done with all women-centered events in 2025. I like the women empowerment brunches, lunches, the ladies' nights, I'm just gonna take a pause. Like, I need enough. I have my sisterhood. Of course, I'm open to making new friends, but there's other ways to do that and to spend my money. Like, where's the...
You know what I'm getting real sick and tired of? Being single. And I get it. It's going to be some people in the comments talking about, you don't need a man to validate you. You should be by yourself. You should use this time to work on you. Child, fuck you. Fuck you. I'm sick and I'm tired and I'm sick of being single. I'm trying to come home to somebody every night. I'm trying to get my booty rubbed on. I'm trying to put on a cute dress and some heels and go out to dinner. I'm trying to get a bill or two paid. Like, I don't need a companion, somebody to talk to. I don't give a fuck about no validation.
That is two women, and there's more videos where that come from, that are telling you it's not about the male gaze, Gaze. It's not about validation. I want this particular experience from a man, and there is no amount of self-love and friendship with other women that can alleviate that, right?
Oh, another night going home alone. This single life is ass. And don't get under my post talk about some. Just focus on yourself, love yourself, date yourself. I don't want to hear that shit. I really don't. I'm tired of it. Stop trying to tell me to mask my desires for being with someone else, that I should just be with myself. I've been with myself. I'm always going to be with myself. Like, it's me and her to the end of time. Like, stop it. Like, after a long day of work, I just be wanting to lay down. I want to cuddle. I want to tell my man about my day. I just want to hug. Like, damn. Like, it don't even be about all the other stuff y'all be talking about. It just be the simple things that you miss the most. Like, that's really it. Like, it's not even like, it just be the simple things. That's all I'm going to say. So just be grateful if you got somebody and you got a hug today. Because you know what?
I don't need no man.
Whatever reason, I'm just not allowed to experience love from another person. And yes, although, I don't have that, there are other areas of my life that are flourishing, like my YouTube channel and friendships, and it's giving me opportunity to pour into those friendships and pour into myself, which I think are equally as important. But I think people tend to forget that platonic love doesn't replace romantic love. And so as much as I am fulfilled by, my friendships and, relationships with my family and things like that, it still doesn't replace that desire that I have deep down for something more. And it's hard. It's a hard thing to suppress. It's a hard thing to put on the back burner, and not knowing how long I'm going to be in this season scares me a little bit. And it also scares me to know that it may not ever happen, that it may not ever happen. And so it's just like, I don't know. I don't even know if I'm making much sense in this video.
Huh? So I'm playing these because once again, we have women with the gender war rhetoric. And I've said this before. These gender war warriors are perfectly okay with watching women suffer. Your average everyday woman suffer for these individual people's gender war, right? Sovereign woman, or is it sovereign black woman? She's okay with, actually enthusiastic, watching women suffer for her gender war. YV Edit is enthusiastic watching women suffer for her gender war. Drew Affiolo is enthusiastic watching other women suffer for her gender war. Kim Foster, another one, enthusiastic watching women suffer for her gender war. Chrissy, enthusiastic with watching other women suffer for her gender war, specifically, obviously, to black men. These women have made comments letting you know that is what fueled them.
This is what I tell average looking and below average looking women: if you can't date up, be alone. Life is easier that way. And I know that's controversial. I don't care. I don't care.
I tell average looking and below average looking black women, if you can't date up, then be alone. It's better to be alone. I know that sounds controversial. I don't care. I don't care. Huh? This sentiment is what's fueling this spite, this angst, this anger, this rage. To all the talking heads, the demographers, right? The researchers. This is what's fueling much of why your young men are responding to the environment the way they are. This is the cost of feminism and equality. The women don't want equal. They want to be equal and special. The women want men that earn more than them, that are in higher positions and status than them. The math simply does not math. It does not add up. The math does not add up. And so you have women saying, if I can't end up with the elite man, that way I can justify to myself why I sold out my autonomy, then I would rather be single, okay? And possibly, more than likely, increasingly, not have children. Much of the loneliness epidemic concerning men-women relations is women. It's women. Women are harming and hurting men with this. They're harming and hurting themselves with this, and they're harming and hurting society with this. Let the women talk. And after they spend forever with speaking through the feminist lens, they're using the feminist tongue. Let them speak long enough, and then it'll get down to what it is, the nitty-gritty, the hypergamy part. But the women are always going to speak through a feminist lens. That is how they were raised. They're going to speak with a feminist tongue. That is how they were raised. Don't simply listen to what they're saying. Watch what they're doing. As Dr. Richard Reeves says, there are preferences and then there are revealed preferences. And now you have a bunch of antagonistic women who encourage other women to be as foul to men as humanly possible. And it sounds a bit like, well, this.
Because getting a man is not hard. Can we? Truly. Okay, no matter what happens with my relationship status, getting a man is not an accomplishment in 2023. And it also pisses me off. And this is why, like, Brittany is really fucking setting the free 30-something women the fuck back, okay? You're embarrassing us. Okay? And this is why I will always respect Amber Rose. Because to this day, Amber Rose is like, I'll take your fucking shit. I don't give a fuck. I do what I want to do. Sometimes it's a little cringy, but I'm going to stand on my shit. I'm going to own it. I love this. Whatever. She never switched up. Brittany's doing exactly. She's doing exactly what the manosphere niggas talk about. Okay? Which is, you have a bad experience with a wealthy, high-profile person. You have a baby. You get dragged through the mud. And then you realize you're in your early 30s. This is their narrative. Their narrative is then you have a baby, you get dragged through the mud, and then you realize, oh, the clock is ticking. And so now you have to completely rebrand into a loud and proud pick me and scold other women about what they're not doing to get them in. That is exactly what they say. Why would stop embarrassing us. Stop embarrassing us. As a single 33-year-old woman, stop it, okay? I hope she at least, gets man she desires. I hope she gets some, good, faithful dick to swoop in or whatever, pay her car note or whatever.
That is what it sounds like. And for those of you just coming in or just getting in, the title of this stream is Loneliness. I might change it after the stream. Something more in-depth. No giggity. But we are making reference to and we are responding to women celebrating male loneliness, right? Particularly the gender warrior women that I listed earlier and their acolytes, their ilk, finding it funny and making fun of and poking fun of men for what they see as just simply the male loneliness epidemic, not the loneliness epidemic, not talks of modernity, not talks of living in major cities and what that does to us, not talks of children now being seen as a financial burden because we live in these major cities, and we live in these major cities oftentimes to make enough money to live and eat and maybe live a prosperous life. And all of the things that go along with it. Once again, the Mouse Utopia experiment, which I'll try to bring up in a little bit. But what we get instead from the women, these kind of pop culture feminists, these culture warring feminists, is, well,
You know what I think is so fascinating about the male loneliness epidemic? There will never be a phrase, the female loneliness
shit.
epidemic.
Oh no, that's called
Never-
leftover women. That's what it is.
That's
They're
what
like,
it's called.
That's
Like,
true.
we coin it in a bad way, but women who are single are going to go off. They're going to make friend groups. They're going to.
I am getting on here to just share.
You know what I think is so fascinating about the male loneliness epidemic? There will never be a phrase, the female loneliness
shit.
epidemic.
Oh no, that's called
Never-
leftover women. That's what it is.
That's
They're
what
like,
it's called. Like,
That's
we,
true.
we coin it in a bad way, but women who are single are going to go off. They're going to make friend groups. They're going to travel. They're
Girl.
going to find hobbies and interests. They're going to get a better body, a
Yeah.
better job, more money. Like, women
Oh,
just
girl.
rise up.
The glow up
without
is
men.
crazy
Yeah, they're,
afterwards.
I feel like if they told us there was an epidemic, we'd be like, I can't be clear enough. We're fine. This is
Who said
We're
that?
doing
Where'd you
great.
get that? Who's,
Yeah.
What's your source?
Well, because there is headlines like that. Women are staying single longer, getting married later, not having kids.
You know
or
what they call
cat
them?
ladies
Cat
stuff.
ladies. Yeah. They call us cat ladies, and they say these lonely poor
Like
girl.
Taylor Swift?
Yeah,
Childless cat lady.
Yeah, that sounds like a badge of honor to me.
The thing that men seem to hate the most is that we are not as lonely as they are. Not even close. And even if women feel some sense of loneliness, it's not in the same way. Women are still mourning the fairy tale of what they thought men were. So they're off to the side, still working on themselves, still getting a degree, still starting their business, still raising their children, still building a community with other women. They're still doing something. They're going to therapy. They're reading self-help books. They're doing whatever they can. We're still not as lonely, quote unquote, as the men. Not in the same way, at least.
The coping talk. Appreciate the antagonism, the mocking, the hey, that's what you get, men, for not being on our program. Hey, you should have been kissing our ass. Hey, you should have been practicing patriarchy by feminist specifications. Hey, all of that is the coping. What these type of women, these pop culture gender warring women, what they're selling your everyday average woman to keep her from psychologically breaking is cope. And the cope comes in the form of some relief that at least the men are suffering more. Huh? Yeah, you might have moments of loneliness, of sadness, of horniness, right? But suffer in silence. You can't let the men know. You have to hold the line. Because the men are suffering more. Find solace in the fact that the men are suffering more. Make fun of them, mock them, insult them, belittle them. Tell them that they're lonely because they won't just adapt to the new environment of women no longer needing men. And then we're going to use some weirdo feminist language that doesn't actually work, that if the men were just more emotionally intelligent and kinder, right? And let go of patriarchy and appreciated women as equal members of society and equal humans, then the men wouldn't be so lonely. If the men valued women for more than just triple X fun, for more than just the women's reproductive organs, the men wouldn't be so lonely. Then you would be okay with being in the friend zone. You wouldn't even have a term called friend zone. It would just be being a friend with a woman, and it didn't include triple X activity or even the implied or suggested ideas of triple X activity. Even the term friend zone is an affront to men-women platonic relationships. Why can't you just be likable, men? All of these type of words, this rhetoric, this type of talk, it's the only thing keeping most women, I would argue, barely sane. Sane, Z? I know. At least the men are suffering more. At least the men are lonelier, right? When the men are in nursing homes, nobody comes and check on them. They should have been more likable when they were younger. This is what's keeping the women barely sane. The loneliness epidemic, as said by the former Surgeon General, is not even just an American thing or a Western thing. It's what comes with this kind of high-paced society that we live in, where everybody's chasing after a dollar. You move into these major cities, you're surrounded by people, but yet you're so alone. Instead of us having a more mature, adult conversation, the women, the fairer sex, right? The kinder, gentler sex, right? The women are the ones mocking the men. The women are the ones who can't wait to say that it's not a loneliness epidemic, it's a male loneliness epidemic. And the loneliness is because the men just won't adapt. It's self-imposed loneliness. It's actually a culling of the loser and weak men who just won't adapt to this society. Now, when we look at the marriage rate, the marriage rate tells us something different. That much of what marriage has become is very race-based, class-based, income-based, wealth-based, depending on the man. Divorce follows similar lines. The more well-off you are financially, especially as a man, the less likely you are to be divorced. And if you are divorced, your marriage would have been a longer marriage. It would have lasted longer. But pop culture feminists, gender warring, social media feminists don't want to have that conversation. They don't want to have any conversation that shows how women can possibly be antisocial. How women are also adding on to and contributing to a social environment that is not conducive for family. How women don't want to lose their gendered pleasures from patriarchy. How women, in their hypocrisy and inconsistencies, are helping to fuel this. We can only look at the men in a vacuum, right? When it's a predominantly male problem, it's men. When it's a woman problem, it's people. It's society. No one speaks about the antidepressants that women are on, especially as they get older. We speak about women living longer who don't have children or possibly never got married. But what's a longer life that's not productive? You're just here. What did you do for anyone but yourself? What did you do for society? Okay, you got to live to 85 years old, 90 years old. What did you do for anyone? Fundamentally, what we have a problem with is we have reached a market cap of men adapting to this current environment. We have the best men in human history concerning equality of women. And what you are seeing is women wanting that equality, appreciating that equality, but also wanting a bit of hypergamy mixed in there for good measure. And the math doesn't math. And the women are throwing a fit. Continuing.
Now we have a GMA health alert, a headline we first saw in the Wall Street Journal, asking why more women in middle age are turning to antidepressants than ever before. Our ABC News chief medical correspondent Dr. Ashton's here going to break it down. So this is startling. According to the CDC, approximately 1 in 5 women between the ages of 40 to 59 and 1 in just 4 women over 50 are turning to antidepressants. That's compared with 1 in 10 women between 18 and 39 using this kind of medicine. Why is this happening?
Well, the short answer is we don't know, Rob.
Huh? Instead of us having a holistic conversation about what does gender and sex in a modern post-industrial, increasingly AI gigafied economy look like, we're watching as people cope, particularly women. And the way they cope is by gender warring and mocking the men. I've said on my channel multiple times, if there is a gender war, particularly concerning black men and black women, if there is a gender war, appreciate black men lose the gender war. If there is a gender war between black men and black women, black men lose the gender war, and it's going to be devastating. And black women lose the gender war harder. Black women lose the gender war harder through attrition. Oops. Huh? As time goes on, black women lose the gender war harder, and we have evidence of that. A disproportionate number of black women are kinless as they age. Advocates say they deserve a social safety net too. Huh? Through attrition, through time. This is the cost. This is the conversation that women, including black women, don't want to have. What is the cost of your autonomy, of giving men the middle finger, particularly black men? What is the cost? What does it cost you? Not even the black men, not the unborn, should have been, could have been children. No, what does it cost you to have never had children? What does it cost you to have never gotten married or possibly never had a long-term 5+ year, 10+ year relationship? What does it cost you? If you want to be so self-centered, selfish, myopic, fine. What does it cost you? You get to live a long life, kinless. Now you have pundits and talking heads and journalists saying black single women need a social safety net because they don't have enough. Huh? Black folks who are not in the deep south, in the black belt, as it's called colloquially, black folks who are not in the black belt in the south. By the way, the majority of black folks in America are still in the south, the southern part of the United States. Black folks who are not in these spaces are in large metro areas. And that means something. And that costs something. But that's not the conversation we're having. As a matter of fact, we rarely have that conversation if you're not in spaces like this. If you're not on this side of the black manosphere in specific. we don't have conversations, well, like this.
This is why everyone is single and men stop trying. This is the mouse paradise, a scientific experiment from the 1960s. They made the perfect world for mice with unlimited food, safety, and no predators. In the beginning, they placed 4 females and 4 males and let them multiply. The population exploded, hundreds, then thousands. Then something strange happened. They stopped mating. And within 4 years, they were extinct. But why? According to scientists, the reason was social interaction overload, just like humans on social media today. They were in 24/7 interaction with thousands of others. Too much stimulation, too much competition for social status, and this led them to lose the ability to form bonds, to mate and raise their young. Many males became so-called the beautiful ones. They lost interest in females. They just groomed themselves all day and withdrew completely because they could not compete in this chaos anymore. And the females followed by losing interest in males. So no mating, and they all just died without having babies. Since 2010 and smartphones, humans are living the same social interaction overload. 24/7 status competition, income and lifestyle comparison with thousands of others, physical looks to impossible standards. And many young people just choose to withdraw. For the first time in history, young people are having less sex than their parents. 30% of men under 30 had no sex for a year. Loneliness epidemic hits us harder than any virus could. You know, the mice couldn't turn this off, but you can.
You'll scour the internet all across social media, and you will find it difficult to find folks who are speaking well. Let Z pat himself on the back, like me, who want to have a macro conversation about what modernity has done to us. What does it cost us to have the cool, nice technology that's supposedly supposed to make life easier? What does it cost us?
We have become lonelier, we become more isolated. And this is not just an American phenomenon, by the way. This is a broader feature of modernity that the UK, Australia, Japan, and many other countries are experiencing as well. And it doesn't mean that we should go back to 1920 or 1930 or 1950. But what it does mean is that we have to recognize that if we don't consciously make rebuilding connection a priority in our individual lives and in society more broadly, if we don't do that through individual actions and the building of social infrastructure in our communities, then we will continue to see an erosion of our relationships, and we'll see not only the health consequences of loneliness, which are profound, mental and physical, but also the economic and the national security implications of loneliness, which make us more prone to division and to polarization.
Huh? And what I played earlier with the Mouse Utopia project, the Calhoun experiment, right? As X-Rel X is, I remember this Project 25, yeah. What did he say? The beautiful ones, the males became the beautiful ones. They groomed themselves all day. Play it again, Z.
This is why everyone is single and men stop trying. This is the mouse paradise, a scientific experiment from the 1960s.
Wait a minute. This is why everyone is single and men stop trying. Continuing.
This is why everyone is single and men stop trying. This is the mouse paradise, a scientific experiment from the 1960s. They made the perfect world for mice with unlimited food, safety, and no predators. In the beginning, they placed 4 females and 4 males and let them multiply. The population exploded, hundreds, then thousands. Then something strange happened. They stopped mating. And within 4 years, they were extinct. But why? According to scientists, the reason was social interaction overload, just like humans on social media today. They were in 24/7 interaction with thousands of others. Too much stimulation, too much competition for social status, and this led them to lose the ability to form bonds, to mate and raise their young. Many males became so-called the beautiful ones. They lost interest in females. They just groomed themselves all day and withdrew completely because they could not compete.
Because they could not compete anymore. Shout out to all the women, particularly Black women, who complain about men not showing up to dating events, speed speed dating events, matchmaking events, mixers. Huh? We're having an adult conversation now about how we've been socialized and how much can you socialize, teach, right? Indoctrinate the men about the new environment, the current environment, without doing much for the ladies. The ladies keep on speaking about how much they've evolved, but even other women are telling you that the women are the ones that are standoffish. These are straight women, from what we understand, who are telling you that women are flaky, right? These are women saying this.
Here's something that I don't see anyone talking about, and it's the female loneliness epidemic. I just turned 23 and I am officially done with looking for new friends because nowadays girls are fucking impossible to make friends with. Before you call me a pick me, hear me out. In my experience, young women today...
Madam, it's not simply that girls are impossible to make friends with. Girls and women are impossible to be in relationship with, whether platonic, romantic, heterosexual, or LGBTQ. Some of the shortest relationships romantically are same-sex loving women. The highest DV rates, violence rates, are amongst women, particularly black women, same-sex loving black women. There is a reason for that. We have not socialized women for our current and modern environment. They have the lingo and the rhetoric that says they've been quote unquote evolved. They've evolved. They have the lingo and the rhetoric. They know how to point fingers at the men and boys. But what you're finding is the second you remove the men and boys in the conversation, and we focus and study on what women in aggregate may be engaging in that is antisocial or that is causing division amongst men and women and other women, it makes it real difficult to put all the onus, or even the majority of it, to be frank, on the shoulders of boys and men. It's not simply friendship. We have not raised women what loyalty looks like. We have not raised them in that way. And even other women are saying that, oftentimes without using those words, but they're telling you that's what they're experiencing. Continuing.
Here's something that I don't see anyone talking about, and it's the female loneliness epidemic. I just turned 23 and I am officially done with looking for new friends because nowadays girls are fucking impossible to make friends with. Before you call me a pick me, hear me out. In my experience, young women today do not know what it means to be a friend. They expect everyone, including other women, to chase them the same way men chase them romantically. It's always me texting first, it's always me making plans, it's always me arranging reservations to make hangouts happen, only to be told the day of that, like, oh, something came up, / they straight up admit that they forgot. And they're like, oh, I'm so sorry, girl. And their I'm so sorries are never followed up by, let me make it up to you, how about we do this or this instead. It's always just, I'm so...
As I said before, women have the same-sex loving women have among the shortest, if not the shortest, lived romantic relationships with each other. They have the highest domestic amongst each other. The violence rate, right? These women also, in heterosexual relationships, file for divorce at 80%, 70%, right? Why hasn't, I would argue, the developed world, developing world, the West, not corrected for this? Is it sexist, anti-feminist, misogynistic to suggest that we also need to catch women up and bring women up to speed on how to interact with other people in a modern society? Not this surface level, yes, girl, you go, girl, which is very easy to do in person and online on the internet, on social media. That's the easy part. Have we socialized women how to show up for others when it's difficult? Have we socialized women how to show up for others when it's hard? No giggity. Have we, no pun, have we socialized women how to show up for others? Have we? Or have we spoken as if we've done that, and yet when you speak to many women and to men, they have something completely different to say? The other day I had a post up that spoke about how sisters are far more meaner than brothers. The study shows that sisters are meaner than brothers. What have we done to correct for that? If she's mean to her own male sibling as a child, if she's mean to her own female sibling as a child, what do we expect as she becomes an adult? Who's truly the antisocial one here? How many of us come into contact with women of middle class and lower background, white women, black women, Latina women, and they don't have a relationship with their own female siblings? They may not even have a working relationship with their own parents, particularly their mothers. What are we doing to correct for this as a society, as a planet, quite frankly, other than pointing at the men and saying to the men, because this is essentially what society is saying, if you lift high enough, her flaws won't hurt all of us. Ooh, Z. Ooh. If you can bench high enough, then her weight won't matter as much. Ooh, goddamn. Yeah, we know she's 225, 250. Yeah, we know she's not 120 and 135 and even 155 or even 160. Yeah, we know she's not that. Yeah, we know she's sitting at a cool 225 and 250 and 300. But if you were so strong, if you were always at the gym, if you were strong enough, you could make her feel small because you could lift her. We're not gonna tell her nothing about her weight. Absolutely not. That's sexist, don't you know? And it'll hurt her feelings, don't you know? And it's misogynistic, don't you know? And you're being inconsiderate, don't you know? Huh? But we are going to chastise you to be able not to lift 300 pounds, but to be able to lift 500 pounds. That way her 250 and 300 pounds won't feel like anything to you. There you go, everyone. Dr. Richard Reeves and his men are supposed to overproduce. What does he mean by overproduce? Look, we're not going to tell her to lose weight. We're going to tell you to lift more. You know what? Okay, fine. Oh, you know what? Okay, fine. Dr. Richard Reeves, will we even get appreciative women, though? Is you still there? I'm still here. Dr. Richard Reeves, will we at least get kind women, though? Z, you still there? I'm still here. No? Dr. Richard Reeves, will we get women who won't torpedo and torch the relationship? Notice I didn't even say marriage because it's not even getting to marriage. Are we even getting women who won't blow up the relationship in a few years? Z, you still there? I'm still here. Fine, we're supposed to lift 500 pounds. Okay, fine. You're not going to tell her to lose weight. Okay, fine. What do we get for that? Her presence. She is the table, right? The question is, if we're living through a loneliness epidemic, a loneliness crisis, what are we doing to alleviate that other than telling the men that they have to lift the goddamn universe to alleviate the pressure and the stress from everyone, from other men, from society, and especially from the women? Huh? And like, share, subscribe, hit the super chat. And Vince is, and thank you for the super chat. We haven't mourned a fairy tale either, ma'am. And Vince is referring to this video right here, which is what we are using as our kind of anchor for this conversation this morning, right? And shout out to All Hell Balamuccio, also known as Vincent Von Doom, also known as Pistol Pete. Continuing.
You know what I think is so fascinating about the male loneliness epidemic? There will never be a phrase, the female loneliness epidemic.
Oh no, that's called leftover women. That's what it is.
That's
They're
what
like,
it's called.
That's true.
We coin it in a bad way, but women who are single are going to go off. They're going to make friend groups. They're going to travel. They're going to find hobbies and interests. They're going to get a better body, a better job, more money. Like women just rise up.
The glow up is
men.
crazy afterwards.
Yeah, I feel like if they told us there was an epidemic, we'd be like, I can't be clear enough. We're fine. This is
Who said
we're
that?
doing
Where'd you
great.
get that? What's your source?
Well, because there is headlines like that. Women are staying single longer, getting married later, not having kids.
You know what they call
cat
them?
ladies?
Cat
stuff.
ladies. Yeah. They call us cat ladies, and they say these lonely poor
like
girl.
Taylor Swift.
Yeah,
childless cat lady.
Yeah, that sounds like a badge of honor to me.
The thing that men seem to hate the most is that we are not as lonely as they are. Not even close. And even if women feel some sense of loneliness, it's not in the same way. Women are still mourning the fairy tale of what they thought men were. So they're off to the side, still working on themselves, still getting a degree, still starting their business, still raising their children, still building a community with other women. They're still doing something. They're going to therapy. They're reading self-help books. They're doing whatever they can. We're still not as lonely, quote unquote, as the men. Not in the same way, at least.
And everyone, once again, women, particularly in our cases as black men, black women coping. This is what they sell to other black women. Fear not, because the men are suffering more. As a matter of fact, you're not suffering. Dry those tears on your face. You're not suffering. You're happy and content, and you love your peace as a single black woman. The men, on the other hand, black men, are suffering. And shouldn't you feel some enjoyment from that? Aren't they deserving of that? Isn't it their fault? Your everyday man who doesn't know a technocrat from a can of paint? Huh? Isn't it their fault anyway? Isn't it the fault of the men anyway? And Vince, thank you for the super chat. Thank you for the super chat. Let me read this one from a Split Gym right now because it is pertinent. And a Split Gym says 105 watching, 42 likes. Right? Yeah, and I don't know how to pronounce that word right there. Yeah, somebody pronounce it phonetically for Mr. Z, please. Stop stealing internet. Shout out to Dre. Right? So, yeah, I'm gonna just leave that up for now. Good point. And Joe says, this is Joe's this time, right? It is Joe's. And Joe says, Kotaro says, this is war. Why are you crying? And thank you for the super chat. Thank you for the super chat. And no saints here, did not forget about your super chat, right? And that's what it is, right? Z, you gonna play that Kim Foster again? You damn right.
Because getting a man is not hard. Can we? Truly. Okay, no matter what happens with my relationship status, getting a man is not an accomplishment in 2023. And it also pisses me off. And this is why, like, Brittany is really, really fucking setting the free 30-something women the fuck back, okay? You're embarrassing us. You're embarrassing us, okay? And this is why I will always respect Amber Rose. Because to this day, Amber Rose is like, I'll take your fucking shit. I don't give a fuck. I do what I want to do. Sometimes it's a little cringy, but I'm going to stand on my shit. I'm going to own it. I love this. Whatever. She never switched up. Brittany's doing exactly. She's doing exactly what the manosphere niggas talk about, okay? Which is, you have a bad experience with a wealthy, high-profile person, you have a baby, you get dragged through the mud, and then you realize you're in your early 30s. This is their narrative. Their narrative is then you have a baby, you get dragged through the mud, and then you realize, oh, the clock is ticking, and so now you have to completely rebrand into a loud and proud pick me and scold other women about what they're not doing to get them in. That is exactly what they say. Why would stop embarrassing us. Stop embarrassing us. As a single 33-year-old woman, stop it, okay? You know, I hope she at least, you know, gets man she desires. I hope she gets some, you know, good, faithful dick to swoop in or whatever, pay her car note or whatever.
Once again, Kataro says, this is war. Why are you crying? Right? Exactly. Azrael says, grrr, the manosphere Negroes. Exactly. What does loneliness bring out of us? How does it cause us to act? How does it cause us to interact with others, particularly others of the same sex, particularly others of the opposite sex? How does loneliness, how does it sit on us? How are we told to cope with and work through our loneliness? Or are we just given pills to subdue and sedate us through loneliness? Are we supposed to go to drink, right, to alleviate the loneliness? Are we supposed to speak as if we're okay? What does it look like on women? I am submitting to everyone that all of this talk of loneliness epidemic, right, concerning males, right, the male loneliness epidemic, all of this talk of men not being emotionally intelligent, men still holding to an archaic notion of patriarchy, manhood, masculinity, is really women and some of the larger society coping with men becoming the beautiful ones, particularly in our case as Black men in the Black community. Y'all have heard Mr. Z say multiple times, and for those of you new here, y'all might not have heard it before, but I've been saying this for years. Black men are the beautiful ones in the Black community. And not just in the sociological way that was presented with the Mouse Utopia Project, but literally, I would argue, Black men see Black women as the beautiful ones. The rest of the planet sees Black men as the beautiful ones. Goddamn, Z. That sounds a little LGBTQ. It sounds like you're trying to compete with women. I'm not trying to compete with Black women. I'm asking Black men and Black women to pay attention to how the world treats them because of their look and their phenotype. And then you tell me which one of us is seen as the beautiful one in our race. I'll wait. And how do Black men and Black women cope with Black men being seen in somewhat a reverse order of human nature? How do Black men and Black women deal with each other when Black men, in large part, are seen as the beautiful ones by men and women globally?
Men in Germany are treated way differently than Black women in Germany. Black men are appreciated in Germany. Black men are put in a cultural sense, in a societal sense, you are seen as interesting, whereas Black women are seen as lesser.
An experience,
a novelty in which you can approach voyeuristically, and it's dehumanizing. I was a member at Soho House, and I remember seeing a Black man sitting there, and there was all these white women around him glorifying him, gawking at the fact that he was existing. And I think Black men need to acknowledge that their lived experience in Germany is disproportional to that of a Black woman in Germany.
Black women do not be having the options that they say they got. And before you jump in my comments, no, I don't have a man. No, I don't have options. Okay, so I beat you to it. There you go. I already beat you to it. So if that's all you care about, you can go and scroll past this video. Anyway, Black women do not be having the options that they say they got, because my whole thing is, if you say you have an option, that means you like that option. That means you are considering that option. So women be talking about, we got options. Oh, a man is the easiest thing to get. But the man y'all be talking about, you don't even want the man. Y'all don't even.
Vito's back with another one. Let me know if you agree or disagree.
So I had put up a post the other day pretty much saying that the reason why Black men are choosing to date outside of their race is because of Black women's entitlements and attitudes towards Black men. And all I saw was a whole bunch of negative comments from Black women bashing Black men yet again, talking about how they ain't ish and all this other negativity. But again, let's go back to the stats. I love stats, right? Because Black men are more likely to be able to marry and date outside of their race than Black women. Black women are the least likely for another race to want to come and marry them. So my thing is, I need Black women to wake up and realize, if the Black man doesn't choose us, who's going to be choosing us? Because it's a very slim chance that another race will choose us.
Black women will resign themselves to being, wait for it, lonely, and call it being happy and single and being rich auntie. Being content, being at peace. What tools have we given women in modern society to cope with their loneliness? What rhetoric have we given them? What talking points, right? What best practices? What have we said to women? What have we said to girls? Have we encouraged them to work harder, to pour all your time and your energy into your career, into your girlfriends, into your friendships, lean on your network, lean on community? And do we really mean that for the betterment of women? Or is that just a coping mechanism that we're selling women because of their profound loneliness, horniness, sadness, because of the current environment?
I can't sleep, I can't eat, I can't drink anything without feeling pain, true pain.
The loneliness epidemic is not just a man thing. Women are not dealing with this any better than the men. We're just not reading how women are being destructive correctly. The negative rhetoric is destructive. These little YouTube videos and TikTok videos and Instagram videos mocking and making fun of the men, mocking and making fun of married women, hoping that their relationship fails, telling them how their relationship gonna fail. That is destructive. That is how women are being destructive. Older women encouraging younger women to stay single as long as humanly possible. Married women telling single women to stay single as long as humanly possible. Single women keeping women single. Rest in peace, Kevin Samuels. Single women encouraging other single women to stay single as long as humanly possible, that is destructive. That is antisocial. That is how women are responding to this environment, with rage, with spite, with ire, with angst. Huh? They're mocking the men. They're making fun of the men. They're even making fun of women in relationships and that are married.
Women are way more lonelier than men. This is why women stay in toxic, abusive relationships, because they're afraid to be alone. I will always use this photo as a reference photo. Like there is a woman who had a baby with this. Okay? Was in a relationship, cheated on her and everything, according to her. And I pulled this picture off of Twitter when someone went viral talking about post your baby daddy so we could fight him. And people in the comments were like, oh no, honey, delete this photo, because you let this get on top of you, put a baby up in you, and play in your face. Now, some of the jokes was like, can he cook? Did he gain weight after y'all got together? But no, like, women are way more lonely. That's why they share peen with the neighborhood. This is why they stay in relationships knowing that this dude ain't shit, will never amount to shit, will never be shit. This is why they will let a guy drive her car, have access to her bank account, live in her house rent-free, don't even contribute to the relationship. She's paying all of the bills, because women are way more lonely. And so they settle. Hence, their standards is in hell with the bar, because they're the ones who set the bar. Also, I've never seen a man come up on TikTok boo-hooing and crying, talking about they're turning 30 and they want some friends and they ain't got no friends. Do you know how many videos I've seen of women doing that? Oh, I lost count. But I've never seen a man be snotting, tearing up, talking about they don't have any friends and they wish they could have some friends because they're turning 30 and they don't want to spend their 30th birthday alone. So once again, that male loneliness epidemic bullshit is a lie. But the female loneliness epidemic, there's a lot of credence to that. There's a lot of facts and truth to that, because it's all over TikTok.
How are we socializing the women to cope with, to come to terms with, to manage their loneliness? And do we see women's anti-social way of, air quotes, managing their loneliness? Do we see that as antisocial? Or do we categorize it and mark it as something else? Because God forbid you get labeled some type of sexist or misogynist, male identified, pick me, huh? Biased. Oh boy. And there's a comment that I wanted to, there we go. And Pan the Man says, are we supposed to care? Yes. Yes. If you want to keep your society. The technology is not easily accessible yet to have the test tube babies. The technology is not, at least it's not easily accessible. It's not at a certain price point, and they haven't made it public. Huh? Yes, yes. To answer your question, yes. If I'm not going to do the funny, antagonistic Black manosphere thing and do the reverse of what the women are doing and mock them and make fun of them and hey. No, yes, you're supposed to care. Absolutely. Number one, these are your sisters. I know. Number two, this is about social cohesion. Number three, I know they're big ass children throwing temper tantrums with their finger on the red nuclear button. I know right now, for some of us, even as Black men, we're doing our own version of
Fair. That's not fair! That is not fair!
Not Z playing That's Not Fair for us as Black men. I know. Y'all never saw that coming. I know. Yes, you're supposed to care. Not even that you care about the individual woman, not even that you care about women as a group, but even for your own self-interest, not you individually, you might be doing pretty well and you don't need women individually, but men as a group, boys as a group. Huh? Wayward women, wayward single mothers are who raise the wayward kids, the wayward daughters and sons. Then they send them out here to terrorize the rest of us. Huh? Whether it's some dude knocking you upside the head for your phone or your car, or it's some woman trying to play you and use you in foodie call dates and, huh? You calling her phone, and by the second time y'all talk, she already asking you for money. Huh? Even a female coworker, her attitude, her demeanor, her outlook on life, her aggressive way of speaking that she likes to call quote unquote assertive. Y'all let the men talk like that? That is not how the men talk. That's how you're registering. That's how the men talk. Fragile ass. Huh? It's not simply the eye. The beauty is in the eye of the beholder. No. Words, right? The way people register, the way you speak, the words you say. And some of us have had that, right? Mainly with women, where you say one thing, they register something else, and then they say you said what they registered. And if you have it recorded, great for you. If you have a witness, great for you. If not, if it's just you and her, oh, that's your ass. Huh? So yeah, no, we care not simply because you actually care about that individual woman or those women. You care because they affect your society. Even if it's purely for self-interest. Better women help to create a better society. Huh? It's not sexy to say in these spaces. I get it, but better women help to create a better society. More disciplined women, women that actually take on the burdens that them and their foremothers fought for. If you wanted equality, you're going to have to eat every bit of it. You're going to have to let go some of those gendered pleasures. Huh? If you want men to see you as equal, they don't want men to see them as equal. They want men to see them as better and special. But if you want men to see you as equal, you're going to have to move that way. And maybe you lose some of those gendered pleasures, and you're okay with that and not rageful and spiteful. Good luck with that, technocrats. Huh? Good luck with that, academia. Yeah. Once again, we are having an adult macro conversation about the female loneliness epidemic, or loneliness, how women are managing and coping and dealing with and coming to terms with their own loneliness. Are they even calling it loneliness? Huh? Continuing.
We have become lonelier, we become more isolated. And this is not just an American phenomenon, by the way. This is a broader feature of modernity that the UK, Australia, Japan, and many other countries are experiencing as well. And it doesn't mean that we should go back to 1920 or 1930 or 1950. But what it does mean is that we have to recognize that if we don't consciously make rebuilding connection a priority in our individual lives and in society more broadly, if we don't do that through individual actions and the building of social infrastructure in our communities, then we will continue to see an erosion of our relationships, and we'll see not only the health consequences of loneliness, which are profound, mental and physical, but also the economic and the national security implications of loneliness, which make us more prone to division and to polarization.
Oh man. Huh? An adult conversation. That is what we're having.
This is why everyone is single and men stop trying. This is the mouse paradise, a scientific experiment from the 1960s. They made the perfect world for mice with unlimited food, safety, and no predators. In the beginning, they placed 4 females and 4 males and let them multiply. The population exploded, hundreds, then thousands. Then something strange happened. They stopped mating. And within 4 years, they were extinct. But why? According to scientists, the reason was social interaction overload. Just like humans on social media today. They were in 24/7 interaction with thousands of others. Too much stimulation, too much competition for social status, and this led them to lose the ability to form bonds, to mate and raise their young. Many males became so-called the beautiful ones. They lost interest in females. They just groomed themselves all day and withdrew completely because they could not compete in this chaos anymore. And the females followed by losing interest in males. So no mating, and they all just died without having babies. Since 2010 smartphones, humans are living the same social interaction overload. 24/7 status competition, income and lifestyle comparison with thousands of others, physical looks to impossible standards. And many young people just choose to withdraw. For the first time in history, young people are having less sex than their parents. 30% of men under 30 had no sex for a year. Loneliness epidemic hits us harder than any virus could. You know, the mice couldn't turn this off, but you can.
Loneliness, an adult conversation. That will be the title of this stream. Huh? Speaking of that, Earl says, their behavior is very Trumpian if you think about it, isn't it? Huh? Isn't it? Do what I want to do, braggadocious, brash, right? An adult child, a spoiled brat, 80-year-old. Trump is Richie Rich as an adult. First, those of us Xers and millennials who remember Richie Rich. Yeah, Richie Rich wasn't an asshole as a child. In real life, what would Richie Rich look like as an adult? I would submit to you, Trump. Huh? And yes, the women, your everyday average woman, particularly black women in our case. Huh? And relevance is, y'all go out and save them. It's going to be the story of Scorpion and the Frog. I don't know if it's going to work that way. I don't know if your average man is going to couple up with your wayward woman. And this is something I've been mulling over for the longest. And it's gonna this is probably gonna be one of the most sexist things y'all ever heard Z say on this channel. I've been mulling over, how do you give women the controller without it being hooked up to the jack? Ooh, goddamn, Z. For all of us for some of you younger folks, y'all don't remember the Nintendo, Super Nintendo, the Segas, right? When you would give your younger sibling the controller and it wasn't hooked up to the system. How do we do that? Huh? And I know for all the ladies listening in, y'all like, what the? We're not children. Oof, 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 oof. Debatable. Anyway, how do we play the game and have them enjoy playing the game because their controller is not hooked up to the goddamn system? Huh? Because it's like, for all of my millennial and Gen Z folks, maybe some of the absolute youngest of boomers, but no, it's definitely a millennial and not Gen Z. Sorry, Gen Z, you're excluded from this unless you played it when they did the rehashing of it. For all my millennial and Gen X folks, it's like playing Streets of Rage, and then who's supposed to be with you is beating you up. So we got to take your controller out, and maybe you get deleted, but you got deleted because you got attacked. But we still get to win the game because I still get to win the game, and you still get the enjoyment of it, but you didn't destroy me and you. Huh? Yikes. Good point, Relevant. Good point. And Relevance is you can't go back. They know when the controller is hooked up now, and they know how to play the game. They're just bad at it. I can see what you're saying, and I think this is what I'm saying in this stream, which is they haven't been socialized and raised and taught what the other side of their autonomy is, what the other side of disappearing gender roles looks like, what that means for them, what the disintegration of gender roles looks like, what that means for them, that they don't get to have the positives and plus from their autonomy, from female liberation, from female empowerment, while also enjoying the gendered pleasures of patriarchy, of chivalry, of gentlemanliness. And like no one is really saying that to women. You have some very leftist women who appreciate that and they get it. But the masses of women either don't get it or they refuse to accept it. But some women actually get it.
I was like, oh, this is going to make feminism look bad. Welcome to the Bell Hooks Book Club! Just as it was misguided for reformist feminist thinkers to see freedom as simply women having the right to be like powerful patriarchal men, so it was simplistic to imagine that the liberated man would simply become a woman in drag. Yet this was the model of freedom offered men by mainstream feminist thought. Men were expected to hold on to the ideas about strength and providing for others that were a part of patriarchal thought, while dropping their investment in domination and adding an investment in emotional growth. This vision of feminist masculinity was so fraught with contradictions it was impossible to realise. No wonder then that men who cared, who were open to change, often just gave up, falling back on the patriarchal masculinity they found so problematic. The individual men who did take on the mantle of a feminist notion of male liberation did so only to find that few women respected this shift. Once the new man that is the man changed by feminism was represented as a wimp, as overcooked broccoli dominated by powerful females who were secretly longing for his macho counterpart, masses of men lost interest. So I'm very aware that I live in a bit of a bubble with this stuff. The people who I grew up with and the people who I now like to spend time with as an adult are all pretty committed to anti-patriarchal values and principles, like properly. Like most of my female friends genuinely don't want a protector or a provider. They don't want any of the patriarchal stuff. They're not doing this halfway house thing. But like I say, I know that that's a bubble. And I know that if I just look a centimetre past the bubble, I can quite clearly see that there are a lot of women in the world who really uphold this standard of patriarchal masculinity in overt ways and in covert ways. And a lot of these women have kind of melded this with the idea of feminism in a way that I find really annoying. Like a few years ago, I came across
message
for the first time that actually it's feminist to expect the man to pay on a date because men on average earn more than women on average, and women on average spend more on makeup and their looks and stuff, and that's why it's actually good to expect men to pay on a date. And I was really disappointed by that. I really was. I was like, oh, this is going to make feminism look bad. And it just felt so like, unradical, you know, like I to be clear, I'm not a rad fem, I'm not a radical feminist, but I do think all feminism should be radical and should be pushing against the tired gender norms of the 1950s. And these ideas that I find very problematic have been really amplified by social media, and they have become very much associated with feminism, despite the fact that many of us find it quite repugnant. And this is one of the reasons why a lot of people who follow feminist values and feminist principles are actually struggling with the label of feminist. It's something I'm definitely grappling with, and I've seen that some people who I'm connected with on social media have posted videos about it, you know, basically saying like it's too hard. It's hard saying I'm a feminist and then having to go, oh, but I'm not a rad fem, and I'm not a TERF, and oh no, I'm not one of those ones that secretly actually upholds patriarchy in XYZ way. It's really difficult. There are some circles in which I would feel really confident saying I'm a feminist because I know what that word means to the people in that circle. But there are so many other circles where I know if I say I'm a feminist, it could mean 20 different things in that circle, and they're not necessarily wrong for thinking that because they're going on the internet and seeing people making these videos and getting hundreds of thousands of likes, you know? And I do think that if we're looking at like the whole of the UK, for example, that yeah, the majority of women do still cling on to patriarchal standards of masculinity. They do want this kind of half and half, you know, a modern man who's emotionally evolved, but also, you know, still having that protector and provider thing. I remember seeing a video a while ago of someone who was upset basically that every man she ever dated kind of laughed at her when she would try and invite them into softness with her. And she was kind of saying, why can't the men in my life embrace softness? And I was like, yeah, absolutely. And then she said, you know, why can't he be my protector, but also be soft with me? And I really felt for her because for me, from my perspective,
it ain't gonna work anyway. I would argue, and you started hearing this from folks on the left, particularly the men on the left, because I see them trying to do this little slick thing with the women instead of just going straight up the middle, no pun, is, you know, bell hooks did say that patriarchy is not gendered. Huh? Patriarchy has no sex on it, and that's their way of saying that, ladies, you know, you kind of upholding patriarchy too, without them actually saying it. They're saying it without saying it. No, y'all need to say it. Dear ladies, you're still engaging, or at least attempting to engage, in a patriarchal dance with the men, where the men pretty much get nothing but your presence. Like, yeah, you're degreed up, cool, right? Yeah, you make your own money, cool, right? But all of that is so that you could practice your autonomy. Okay, cool. But then you want to be in a relationship with a man who's going to provide you emotional, mental, financial security. And that doesn't necessarily mean he's going to be paying all the bills. For most of us, we don't live in that society, but he will be contributing most. He will be the primary breadwinner. You're going to have to horse trade with that person. And certain feminist notions, almost all of them, certain feminist notions just can't fly in that. I would argue one of the explosion of divorce coming out of the 60s, but definitely when you have no fault divorce, 80s on up, you have that because women can't reconcile security with autonomy. And no one's telling them freedom's not free. Huh? Freedom's not free. A disproportionate number of Black women are kinless as they age. Advocates say they deserve a social safety net too. Freedom's not free. These findings are supported by data showing that Black women, solo agers nearing retirement, are at higher risk of becoming old and poor in America. The median wealth for single college-educated Black women older than age 60 being significantly lower, $11,000, than that of married Black women, $424,000, or unmarried white women, $384,000. In the same age and educational bracket. Freedom's not free. Huh? Dear college-educated Black women, You solo college educated black women in your we'll give you until 40, so we'll start the clock at 40. In your 40s, in your 50s, you're costing yourself on average, or by median at least, $413,000. Huh? That's not Mr. Z begging, because Mr. Z don't believe in begging somebody to do for them. That is saying, once again, going to the loneliness, much of your angst and anger, ladies, is because you refuse to get on a black man's program, and it literally costs you money. Shout out to all you black women, both college educated and not, who try to find interesting ways of getting $1 here and $1 there from men, because you don't earn enough and you overspend, because we know that's the problem. Huh? Yeah. We're having an adult conversation about loneliness in America. Loneliness around the planet. And how modernity is affecting that, or causing that. Huh? And what are the outcomes? We're watching the women cope with that. I've played women speaking on the loneliness.
Everyone deserves to feel a sense of belonging, but in today's world, that is becoming increasingly harder to do, and we are facing a loneliness epidemic that goes beyond the already very lonely periods in life that women face. From the isolation in early motherhood or first-time motherhood, to women getting lonelier as they progress in their careers. Men get less lonely, women get lonelier. And in Canada, I'm in Canada, senior women are almost double as likely, they're almost twice as likely to be lonely than senior men. So on top of these already lonely periods in a woman's life, the world is just getting lonelier. So how do we combat this loneliness?
This is what it looked like. This is the part of the conversation that, even though she wasn't part of the clip, that YV edit, that Drew Affiolo, that Sovereign Woman or Sovereign Black Woman, whatever her name is, this is the part of the conversation that they refuse to acknowledge. Fine, laugh at the men, ha ha ha. Okay, screw the men. How is this loneliness affecting the ladies? You won't even acknowledge that the ladies are lonely. And if you do, as we saw from Sovereign Woman or Sovereign Black Woman, you minimize it. You say, no, you're not actually lonely. What you're reeling from, what you have to come to terms with, is that the men are not this Disney fantasy that you had in your imagination. You don't actually have a problem with your loneliness. You have a problem with a fantasy that's not going to be lived out. This is cope talk. This is cope dope. Continuing.
Okay, I'm driving home from work and I just need to talk because I really have nobody to talk to and I'm really just not doing well. My whole life I really just have felt like kind of never really anybody's favorite person, favorite friend, really anything like that. And it's really starting to weigh on me a lot. Where I just feel like I don't know, like I just am so alone and I'm just really struggling, and I guess I'm just saying this so if you feel this way, just know you're not alone, and this life is hard, and you're in this with somebody else who feels like this. So have a good night, everybody.
And we have video after video after video of white women and black women and Latina women, even some Asian women, right? Front seat confessionals right? Car confessionals with women crying. It's a collective of women crying about being lonely. Whether it's lonely because of a lack of platonic relationship and friendship with other women, or more often than not, it's crying because of loneliness in a romantic sense concerning heterosexual men. Huh? And the Arena Revised says part of the adult conversation has to include the lack, I get what you're saying, the lack of third spaces, which is tied to car dependence. Yeah. Yeah. Right. And true, we don't commune with each other. And you can add on to that, and Mr. Z finds himself being the victim of this, overwork. You're not just getting off early afternoon, right? And going to hang out with friends after work and still make it home for dinner, right? No, you get off of work to go to work. You get off of work to go to the second job. You get off of work to go drive Uber or Lyft or go bring food to people's houses, Uber Eats for a couple hours. Huh? This is limiting your time for in-person conversation, if not conversation outright, even on the phone. We already know how many malls have closed down across America over the past decade and some odd. Third spaces. We know the young people aren't going to the club, particularly the young men. That's why in certain parts of the country, young men are the ones getting into the clubs for free before a certain time. Complete reversal. Right? These third spaces. And what did we see with the club over the past couple decades? We've had VIP in the club for forever now, but VIP just became the standard, and then VIP became expensive. Not kind of, sort of expensive. No, like restrictively expensive. Okay, understandable. So VIP increasingly became restrictively expensive. It was always expensive, but insanely expensive. Okay, fine. And it became the standard for the men. That is a perfect allegory of society. The bar for the family, the 2.3 kids, and the house in the burbs is just insanely expensive. The women don't actually want to contribute financially to that. So cut it out. Once again, we're having an adult conversation. So we've made it just impossibly expensive for men. And even for the certain men and women, let's say you do luck up on a wife who's willing to contribute some. It's just insanely expensive. These third spaces were where people meet, particularly young people, and commune, right? And socialize. And we've taken that away. Huh? The young people either got priced out, the market has decided that it's not profitable enough. Huh? The right wants you to work yourself to death. The left wants you to act a certain way, kissing women's ass, where you're not a threat, so the young men are not even going out to these third spaces that do exist. And there you go. Frankenstein monster, combustible mix. Huh? Ah. And Kotaro says, when you're mean to the simps, what do you think happens? Look, as KMS has said, shout out to KMS, women are the ones who destroyed the baby daddy Not baby daddy, sorry, wrong term. Women are the ones who destroyed the whole stepdaddy program. Women did that. Women haven't checked their children from outside that situation enough. And we're talking about black women in specific right now. And they showed their contempt for the men that saved them. Huh? Say that, Conturo. And Conturo says, burning social contracts to keep warm. It's funny because I have the thumbnail for that. I thought about using it too for the stream. Burning social contracts to keep warm. Perfect. And that's what it is. And I don't know if it's even to keep warm, because that would suggest that it's cold outside and you're doing this to keep you warm and to keep you, keep you alive. I would argue the women are burning the social contract gleefully out of spite, out of just sheer childishness, out of immaturity, and they're doing it gleefully. And then they're new, not our new, not something men and women hammered out. No pun, but that's still funny. No, their new social contract is you still be the predominant provider, the head of household financially, but yet there's some new dynamic where you're insanely emotionally intelligent. That means you cater to her emotions and feelings. Kiss her ass. Where you help around the house, you probably do the majority of the work. And you're still contributing the majority to the bills and to the financial maintenance of the home. And like, this is what women are saying the new social contract will be. Good luck finding the men to sign up for that. What we can see right now is somewhere between 20 and 25% of Americans are actually getting into some type of marriage and staying married, which is a indication that this is not working for fully 75-80% of Americans. These are the folks that are more likely to deal in the copium, the women in particular. Now, let's be very clear. The top 20% women, they still gonna talk that feminist female empowerment, female liberation crap. But how many of them are gonna leave their husbands, though? Even the women who earn pretty good money themselves, how many of them are gonna pull it? Some will. To be fair, some will. Most won't. Like, share, subscribe, hit the super chat. And St. Cyr says, and we'll finally get to this, and St. Cyr says, let them stay in purgatory they participate in creating. Let them stay in the purgatory they participated in creating. The choice is yours. Stay in their domain expansion, anime reference, if you know, you know, aptly named the pit of disparity, or focus on your next steps to be outside of it. And he gives you a number of foreign flags, right? One of which is the Philippines. The other one is Brazil. I don't remember what that first one is. All right. Man. Relevant. You see what I'm saying? And this is what I'm saying. The relevance is, yeah, you're supposed to be like Shira Seven's husband and get talked about like you lost, like a lost object after you pass away. Yeah. Yeah. Turkey. Okay. It is Turkey. Okay. Okay. It is Turkey. All right. Something popped into Z's mind that said, stop questioning yourself. Can't help it, y'all. Can't help it. Mr. Z be loud and wrong on his channel, and I don't want to keep on being loud and wrong all the time. I'm not loud and wrong all the time, just some of the time, right? So today we covered and had an adult conversation about loneliness, right? Loneliness, and how it's not a male loneliness epidemic. It's a loneliness epidemic. And women aren't coping with, managing through, dealing with the loneliness any better than the men. We just refuse to acknowledge how the women are dealing with this loneliness in an antisocial way, right? In an antisocial way that is causing societal issues. And how the women are misbehaving, many of them, right? And Cotero says, bro, a simple domain cancels that out. Right. So, you know, we're going to have this, I would argue, for the foreseeable future. Because for millennials and Gen Z, and Jason Black spoke to this, and it really, really hit me when he spoke about this a few months ago. How essentially with the environment that we have now, I don't recall if he was saying millennials also, but I feel like he was speaking about, if I remember correctly, and I'm using the word feel because I don't remember exactly, I feel like he was speaking about Gen Z specifically, but I'm going to include millennials also, even though the oldest of us is about 45 or just turned 45 or are turning 45 years old this year. Millennials and Gen Z are being encouraged to exploit each other, to use each other, to exploit each other, right? And I think that is going to exacerbate the loneliness epidemic, because millennials and Gen Z don't got the money. They don't. And the ones of them that are going to be left money by their parents might pass away when they're in their 20s and leave them some good money. Maybe they get out the games free. For all the rest of us, now you're going to have your head on a swivel and be very careful and vigilant, because it's going to be your own age cohort that includes the women trying to exploit you. Now we know the women are trying to exploit you with foodie calls and being air quotes late on bills, and they need some help. We already know that. But we're going to have to be very careful about who's with you and why they're with you. Are those friends real friends? Is that woman really with you because of you? Ooh. And Vince is mooching. Yeah, the moocher's gonna be mooching. No pun, even though that's really funny. It's serious. It really is. So we're speaking about this. I've seen too many videos of women making fun of and mocking the men in the loneliness epidemic, and essentially saying it's a man problem. Men created it, men perpetuate it. It's a self-inflicted wound. And the male loneliness epidemic is not a societal problem. It's not men's response to the current environment. It's self-inflicted because men won't just adapt to a world where women are more empowered. That's the framing. That's the feminist framing. and women are perfectly okay with their lives and how they're forming these friendships and these bonds and these forming this community around them, and they don't need men. That's the framing, right? And that's why I played video after video, and there's so much more video after video of women once again speaking about being lonely in community with other women, community, lonely in relationship to men, heterosexual men, just lonely. And the Drew Alfiolos of the world, because of their gender war, just refuse to accept that, acknowledge it, accept it, and then speak to the women about that. No, they would much rather gender war, mock the men, and say, no, the women are perfectly okay. They're fine.
You know what I think is so fascinating about the male loneliness epidemic? There will never be a phrase, the female loneliness epidemic.
Oh, no, it's called leftover women. That's what it is.
That's what it's called.
That's true.
We coin it in a bad way, but women who are single are going to go off. They're going to make friend groups. They're going to travel. They're going to find hobbies and interests. They're going to get a better body, a better job, more money. Like, women just rise up.
The glow up is crazy afterwards.
I feel like if they told us there was an epidemic, we'd be like, I can't be clear enough. We're fine.
Who said
We're
that?
doing
Where'd you
great.
get that? What's your source?
Well, because there is headlines like that. Women are staying single longer, getting married later, not having kids.
And you know what they call
cat
them?
ladies?
Cat
stuff.
ladies. Yeah. They call us cat ladies, and they say these lonely poor
like
girl.
Taylor Swift.
Yeah,
childless cat lady.
Yeah, that sounds like a badge of honor to me.
The thing that men seem to hate the most is that we are not as lonely as they are. Not even close. And even if women feel some sense of loneliness, it's not in the same way. Women are still mourning the fairy tale of what they thought men were. So they're off to the side, still working on themselves, still getting a degree, still starting their business, still raising their children, still building a community with other women. They're still doing something. They're going to therapy. They're reading self-help books. They're doing whatever they can. We're still not as lonely, quote unquote, as the men. Not in the same way, at least.
Yeah. She says that, and it sounds good, but...
Okay, I'm driving home from work, and I just need to talk because I really have nobody to talk to, and I'm really just not doing well. My whole life, I really just have felt like kind of never really anybody's favorite person, favorite friend, really anything like that. And it's really starting to weigh on me a lot, where I just feel like I don't know, like I just am so alone, and I'm just really struggling. And I guess I'm just saying this, so if you feel this way, just know you're not alone, and this life is hard, and you're in this with somebody else who feels like this. So have a good night, everybody.
Yep. And so we're just gonna play a couple more clips, and then we'll end it out. But I wanted to speak about this today, be a bit more mature, and say it to the ladies, like, okay, fine, you're playing the game with the men. Your controller is hooked up to the system. You think you're leading the way, but are you though? Particularly the black women, huh? So I only played this
There's
once.
going to
Let's play
be
it again.
nothing like the female loneliness epidemic that you're going to see with this generation of women when they hit the 40s. It's going to be out of control.
Many years from now, there is going to be a quiet crisis, loneliness in women especially. Not because women failed, not because they weren't capable or intelligent, but because they were handed a script or a blueprint that left out the consequences. Be self-sufficient, put your career first, you don't need a man. So they followed it. They pushed love down the line. They delayed the family. They treated commitment like something that could always wait until it didn't. Fast forward a few years later, You're older, no partner, no children, no legacy, just some noise to fill that silence.
There's going to be nothing like the female loneliness epidemic that you're going to see with this generation of women when they hit the 40s. It's going to be out of control. When these 20-somethings hit 40-something, there's going to be massive devastation. There's going to be, the pharmaceutical companies are going to be like, yeah, cashing in on the antidepressants and all of that if they go that route.
And they already are.
A headline we first saw in the Wall Street Journal asking why more women in middle age are turning to antidepressants than ever before. Our ABC News chief medical correspondent Dr. Ashton's here going to break it down. So this is startling. According to the CDC, approximately 1 in 5 women between the ages of 40 to 59 and 1 in just 4 women over 50 are turning to antidepressants. That's compared with 1 in 10 women between 18 and 39 using this kind of medicine. Why is this happening?
Well, the short answer is we don't know, Robin, but the first step is making this observation. The second step is talking about it, which is why I'm so glad we're having this conversation.
Well, we don't know, Robin. Modernity, the cost of modernity, huh? Insisting that people become these little autonomous beings, huh? Would it cost middle class and lower to keep up, huh? Oh, we don't know. Mr. Z is a community college dropout. I'm just spitballing. I'm just guessing. How much of my guess is right? How much money y'all gonna spend in academia to figure out, oh, Z just was spitballing and freestyling and whoa, look at that. He was right. Huh? Well, damn. And Vince says, Bun B, what about your friends? Actually, first TLC, which is a dope song, and then rest in peace, Pimp C. Pimp C's song, What About Your Friends, which was released after he passed. And is Bun B is on there, Nas is on there, Juicy J is on there. Yeah. It's a dope song, so I would suggest, if you haven't heard it before, I would suggest you look it up. Yeah. They I think they did Pimp C a solid. I think they did a good job with that album. I forgot what it was called. Was it Rest in Peace Pimp? It wasn't Rest in Peace. It was, I forgot what the name of that damn album is. Somebody from Texas who wants to be a millionaire. I'm calling somebody from Texas. I forgot what the name of that damn Long Live the Pimp. Was it Long Live Pimp? I can't remember what the name of that album was called. Anyway, but yeah, some dope tracks on there. And What About Your Friends is one of them, right? There's another joint with and I think Zero should have actually did the hook on that, but I forgot. Damn, I forgot what the name of that song was. It was a young lady on the hook though. I think Zero should have did it, but either way, but yeah. Oh, let me read this one now that just popped up. And Chef Butter Biscuit says, maybe I'm a radical, but I don't see stability for this nation with American women. If we have to go through our own Soviet Union crash, then oh well, bruh. I've been dreading that idea for a couple years now. Before Trump came back in, I've been dreading that idea for and yeah, that's a scary thought. Right? That's a scary thought. I watched a documentary years ago. It was actually more than one that I watched years ago about the fall of the Soviet Union and like not what was going on from the outside, but what was going on actually in the Soviet Union, particularly Russia. Right? And like the insane inflation and just the craziness and like watching the everyday person like adjust to like getting kicked in the face. Because remember, like it was the Soviet Union dissolved and then they got kicked in the face with neoliberalism, much like how the black community got kicked in the face with neoliberalism coming out of Jim Crow. Kind of similar effect. Like you don't even get a chill down period. Nobody speeds you up. Nobody catches you up. You don't even know what's going on. There's not even necessarily a term, or in popular consciousness and parlance, that's not even a term for what you're going through. That term doesn't become popular, or at least known really, until decades after. Right? So that happened to the Soviet Union, and it happened to black folks in America, where you you get, you're being stomped in the gonads during Jim Crow, and then you just get kicked in the face with neoliberalism right after. There's not even the 12 years of Reconstruction, right? You just get, and I'm not saying these people didn't work hard, so please, some grace. You just get, shown a bunch of black successful people, right? Whether they're entertainers, whether they're academics, whether they're any type of pop culture, rest in peace, Michael Jackson, like superstars, right? These like cultural references, right? And everyone from like Maya Angelou to like Michael Jackson, right? Jordan, Tyson, rest in peace, Biggie. But yeah, so you get that. But like for the masses, there's no redress per se. And like going back to Chef Butter Biscuit's super chat is like, yeah, I've kind of been mulling that over a bit in the back of my mind for the past couple of years, and like what that would look like and what that would entail for the masses, particularly black people, of course. And yeah, how devastating like the US dollar crashing would be, or like anything major like that, and like what that would do to already a devastated community like the black community, what that would do to us and for us, what positives could come out of that, and all the negatives that you would be going through. Would there even be a light at the end of the tunnel in our lifetime? And what would that look like? Right? And would you have to, you would definitely have to reset your goals and aspirations, that's for sure. Yeah, and what that would look like. But I wasn't trying to make today a fully doomer stream, but Chef Butter Biscuits over here enticing Z, right? Man. And the Arena Revive says, with the Soviet Union, it starts with the man storage from World War II, 22. Yeah, the men shortage. That's his storage. Sorry, let's read that again. With the Soviet Union, yeah, because they lost millions of men in World War II, but true. Once again, the Arena Revive says, with the Soviet Union, it starts with the man shortage from World War II, 22 million men dead. 2 entire generations lost their mating pool. Yeah, and we're watching it happen with Ukraine and Russia once again, right? Like, whatever shred of hope they had for being viable societies in the next century, that's donezo. Pack it up. So even if you ended the Ukraine-Russia war today, it's done. First of all, who's going to move back to Ukraine? That's first. Secondly, how many men has Russia and Ukraine lost? Russia might be kind of sort of salvageable. I don't see it. But definitely Ukraine's done. Ukraine's done. It's done. It's done. Right? So yeah, y'all can pack it up. We're watching that happen again. So they never even fully recovered from World War II. The Soviet Union. Now you're watching, and if let's say the Americas and NATO sphere actually comes to fruition, and Russia finds some way to subdue Ukraine, and they keep on moving westward. Poland not gonna go down like that. You know what I'm saying? Like, yeah, it's just gonna be a bloodbath. They can't afford this. Even their demographics, they can't afford it. They can't afford it. Huh? Yeah. And relevance is we're already one of the lowest birth rates, and we're a minority group. We would be closer to the Asian population in numbers. Yeah, so once again, Basecamp, when they covered this, and I covered it when they covered it, yeah, what's it, 1.35? Something like that? I think I heard BJ say 1.39, but somewhere around there, birth rate for Black folks around the median income line. So around the $45,000 a year mark. The median income in America is like 43,000. So I'm going to say around the $45,000 a year mark, our birth rate is 1.35. So that means, yeah, you're meeting women. We're talking about on average, Black women. Yeah, you're meeting a single mother with one kid that she had in her early 20s. We're doing the numbers, right? Because we know somewhere around 75% of Black women that are going to have children have their first child before the age of 24 or around the age, by the age of 24, right? 24, 25, we'll say. So that means if we're playing the numbers, you're meeting single mothers with one child. Huh? Yeah. This goes back to what I was saying earlier about Americans in general. What is it costing us to keep up? Huh? Like, this is a real question. Let me get my Uruism on. Shout out to Black Uru. And he chastised us a couple of years ago, me, Lion, and a number of us, single men, even though I was in a relationship at the time, single men who are doing okay enough financially, but don't have any children. And we're like relatively smart, or at least capable and smart enough. And like, yeah, you letting Pookie and Keisha from the hood have 4, 5, 6 kids, and yet you men who are capable enough aren't having any. Once again, what does it cost us to keep up? That's a real question for all of us working class Black folks, Black men in particular. For all of us single Black men, what is it costing you to keep up? The time, the energy, right? Your diet, stress levels, etc., etc. What is it costing you to keep up? God damn it, Chef Butter Biscuits. Now you got me going down the doomer lane a bit. Talk about loneliness. What does it cost you to keep up? That's a real question. Anyway, all right, y'all. Look, Zeta, yeah. Yeah, and Oppo says, and let's read this before we end out. And Oppo says, Black Ulu was right. When it was revealed to me that the worst of us outbreed the best of us, I was pissed than a mofo. Duh. Because we're more responsible. We're thinking about the future. We're thinking about where we want to send our children, if we do have some, what type of wife. We're not just frivolously piping whoever the hell. We want a particular wife. We want to put children in the best advantageous situation. We're not rich, so we can't just be sending them to private school, but you want to have a certain house in a certain type of neighborhood to send them preferably to a certain type of public school because you can't afford the private school, right? And like you see this similar dynamic in Japan, in China, in South Korea. Forget the 4B movement crap that these weirdo women talking about. When the women were polled in South Korea, no pun, they said that like, I want my children to compete. I want them to be able to win. I want to be able to send them to the better schools. Right? So when you factor all of that in, particularly for those of us Black men, we're not upper middle class. We're not rich or elite. We might have come from humble beginnings and climbed up a step or two or three, right? We're pretty even. We're good. We got a couple of dollars in savings, right? What does it cost us to keep up? Number one. Number two, because we're aware of the environment, we don't just want to have any random children with random women. We're very intentional in that way. Well, what does it cost you to not have a oops baby? Y'all never thought Mr. Z would ask that question. What does it cost you to not have a oops baby? Maybe never having children? God damn, Z. Huh? What does it cost you to not have to pay child support to a wayward woman who might mess up your kids? Maybe never having the kids. Huh? What does it cost you to not end up with a Ebony K. Williams with less money, who you know gonna file for divorce within 7, 8 years, 10 years if you're lucky? Boss hog, corporate woman. What does it cost you as a black man to not end up with one of her and have your children in wedlock? You'll get the marriage. You'll be married to the attractive black woman. You'll have your children in wedlock. Huh? And she's still gonna divorce your ass eventually. Maybe if you're lucky, 10, 12 years because y'all are professional. You're not working class, so you don't get the 5-year long marriage. You get the 10, 12-year long marriage. What does it cost you to kind of see that that's the woman that you find attractive or that you're kind of dealing with right now? What does it cost you to be like, I see where this is going? Nope. Maybe never having the children. Maybe. Remember what lead attorney said. If you have a 10-year long marriage, if you get divorced in 10 years, that's good. Some of us was like, yeah, nah. For those of us that were weary of that, Mr. Z being included in that, maybe we don't do it because we don't want a 10-year long marriage. That still means divorce at the end. How about not? Huh? These are real questions. What I would argue, you see men, particularly black men that are on my channel, that are in spaces like this, what you see us coming to terms with and grappling with is that math, that equation. Huh? We're factoring in the women, especially for those of us who still, I wanted to say like black women. I don't know how likable they are, but y'all get what Mr. Z is saying. For those of us who prefer black women especially, but even for those of us who are okay with dating out and mating out, we're doing the math, we're doing the equation, and we're like, the math, something ain't right about this math. Something to consider. And thank you for that comment, Oppo. Oppo opened that door, and Mrs. Z was like, don't mind if I do. And Oppo continues, says, not gonna lie, Z, if we can get these all-boys schools developed nationwide, then the penalty of having indiscriminate children won't be as bad because those schools will have them. I agree, actually. Huh? Goddamn, Vince, you just added another like, share, subscribe, hit the super chat. You just added like another 5 minutes to the stop clock. And Vince is the social economics and social cost of family building. We came right back around to loneliness. Talking about round robin. Pause. We came right back around to loneliness. We came right back around to the coping mechanisms, right, of that math. And even though I would argue the women aren't speaking so explicitly as us, maybe the Julesies of the world in their spaces, possibly. But your average woman is not doing the hard math. I would argue even your average educated, college educated women, they're not doing the hard math. But they still feel this in their bones. No pun. Right? They still feel the math is not mathing. And so oftentimes when I speak, y'all will see Mr. Z, I don't speak like women are the final boss, because they're not. Including black women. I get on them for contributing to this toxic environment. I get on them for their role in this toxic hellhole, right? But they're not the final boss. The final boss is the same final boss that we've been dealing with for 5 centuries. It's the same final boss. And they finally created a society that can't even perpetuate itself anymore. Damn, Z. I know. So although the women aren't doing the hard math, they feel that in the air and they're responding to the environment and the men and other women. Huh? Genius and great comment, Vince. The social economics and social cost of family building. And I would argue what you're seeing from some of these antagonistic feminists, they can't punch down on Jeff Bezos. They can't do nothing to Elon. They can't do nothing to Trump and George W. Bush and Obama. They can't. But they can still make fun of you and mock you as an everyday man, everyday black man in specific. And they're going to do that because it makes them feel just a little bit better about their condition. Right? And Vince, thank you for that comment. And a split Jim says, and thank you for the super chat. And he says, there has been a sly discourse about special ed children having kids, and part of the quote unquote problem, I don't like the framing, but there is something there. Right? I'm a little lost on what you mean by that. A split Jim. And he says there has been sly discourse about special ed children. I think I know what you're saying and what you mean, and maybe why you might be being a bit vague, but I need you just to be a little bit more detailed so I don't go off in the wrong direction on my commentary. Because I think I know where you're going, but I'm not 100% sure, right? Because I want to go the eugenics route, because I think that's the way you're going, or what you're implying that is being said. But I don't want to go that direction if that's not what you're kind of implying that people are saying. Right? But yeah, and thank you for the super chat. Thank you for the super chat, Split Jim. Yeah, give me just a little bit more detail so I could go in the right direction. Right. Yeah, so or the reader revise is okay. So he's getting that too. Okay, yeah, and then the reader revise just Split Jim. I see your dilemma there because quote unquote special ed is weaponized against even smart black boys. Yeah, that's when you start getting the term imbecilic, and that's when you start justifying essentially euthanizing folks, right? Oh, he said you're right. Okay, yeah. That's a slippery slope, a Split Jim. You, me, and the reader revise. Yeah, we're all saying the same thing because we know where that ends up eventually, like tomorrow. Yeah, we know where that ends up. Huh? Shout out to black women. Y'all won't just be going to those clinics, to put the babies in the blender because you're reckless with your organs, with your reproductive organs. They'll be sending y'all. Right? You would be being sent there, madam. Right? They'll be looking at y'all, and it will affect women too, black women especially. Man, we don't like her upbringing. Nah. We don't like her upbringing. Didn't her brother get in trouble with the law back in the day? Yeah. She's pregnant? Yes, sir. Man, hey, go pick her up, bro. Huh? Next thing you know, no baby for you, and never no baby for you. Well, damn. Huh? Exactly. And Vince is goose stepping. We slowly goose stepping into Auschwitz. Huh? Yeah. So, yeah, Split Jim. I wouldn't like that conversation either. I would not like that because shout out to PK Angel, wherever that brother is. PK Angel, Z, and there's a number of you who are hypersensitive to any sort of this kind of eugenicsy talk. This type of eugenics talk, once I even think I even hear something that even remotely, goddamn Z, how big you gotta be, even remotely sounds anything like we're going in that direction, I shut it down. Friends, family members, thank God for my circle. I really don't get that from my circle, but co-workers, associates, random people, once I even think I smell anything going in that direction, I shut it down. Huh? and Lion says, "No, I don't look like goose stepping. It look like moonwalking. So it looks a little bit cooler, more fashionable, but we still gonna end up in Auschwitz anyway." Right? They can see the goose stepping. The average person can see the goose stepping. It's too in your face. It's too blatant. Lion saying, "No, it's a moonwalk. It's cool, and we backsliding in that. We still gonna end up in Auschwitz. It's just gonna look cool and feel cool while we do it." I hear you, Lion. I hear you. Huh? Damn. Yeah, yo. Yeah. But on that note, everyone, because Z got things to do and we were reckless, and this was a nice long reckless stream, and we got things to do because reckless. Don't put it in the comments. Don't put it in the comments. And yeah, everyone. So this good talk once again, and we were responding to, before we end out, we were responding to this.
You know what I think is so fascinating about the male loneliness epidemic? There will never be a phrase, the female loneliness epidemic.
Oh, no, that's called leftover women. That's what it is.
That's what it's called.
That's true.
We coin it in a bad way, but women who are single are going to go off. They're going to make friend groups. They're going to travel. They're going to find hobbies and interests. They're going to get a better body, a better job, more money. Like, women just rise up.
The glow up is crazy afterwards.
I feel like if they told us there was an epidemic, we'd be like, I can't be clear enough. We're fine.
Who said
We're
that?
doing
Where'd you
great.
get that? What's your source?
Well, because there is headlines like that. Women are staying single longer, getting married later, not having kids.
You know what they call
cat
them?
ladies?
Cat
stuff.
ladies. Yeah. They call us cat ladies, and they say these lonely poor
like
girl.
Taylor Swift.
Yeah,
childless cat lady.
Yeah, that sounds like a badge of honor to me.
The thing that men seem to hate the most is that we are not as lonely as they are. Not even close. And even if women feel some sense of loneliness, it's not in the same way. Women are still mourning the fairy tale of what they thought men were. So they're off to the side, still working on themselves, still getting a degree, still starting their business, still raising their children, still building a community with other women. They're still doing something. They're going to therapy. They're reading self-help books. They're doing whatever they can. We're still not as lonely, quote unquote, as the men. Not in the same way, at least.
Huh? So we were responding to that, and we responded to it with a more adult conversation and with videos, well, like this.
We have become lonelier, we become more isolated. And this is not just an American phenomenon, by the way. This is a broader feature of modernity that the UK, Australia, Japan, and many other countries are experiencing as well. And it doesn't mean that we should go back to 1920 or 1930 or 1950. But what it does mean is that we have to recognize that if we don't consciously make rebuilding connection a priority in our individual lives and in society more broadly, if we don't do that through individual actions and the building of social infrastructure in our communities, then we will continue to see an erosion of our relationships, and we'll see not only the health consequences of loneliness, which are profound, mental and physical, but also the economic and the national security implications of loneliness, which make us more prone to division and to polarization.
This is why everyone is single and men stop trying. This is the mouse paradise, a scientific experiment from the 1960s. They made the perfect world for mice with unlimited food, safety, and no predators. In the beginning, they placed 4 females and 4 males and let them multiply. The population exploded, hundreds, then thousands. Then something strange happened. They stopped mating. And within 4 years, they were extinct. But why? According to scientists, the reason was social interaction overload. Just like humans on social media today. They were in 24/7 interaction with thousands of others. Too much stimulation, too much competition for social status, and this led them to lose the ability to form bonds, to mate and raise their young. Many males became so-called the beautiful ones. They lost interest in females. They just groomed themselves all day and withdrew completely because they could not compete in this chaos anymore. And the females followed by losing interest in males. So no mating, and they all just died without having babies. Since 2010 smartphones, humans are living the same social interaction overload. 24/7 status competition, income and lifestyle comparison with thousands of others, physical looks to impossible standards. And many young people just choose to withdraw. For the first time in history, young people are having less sex than their parents. 30% of men under 30 had no sex for a year. Loneliness epidemic hits us harder than any virus could. You know, the mice couldn't turn this off, but you can.
All right, y'all. So on that note, we'll truly end it right here. Pause right here. Y'all have a great rest of your day. Mr. Z out. Love, peace, and chicken grease. We'll pause right here. Y'all go check out other Black Manosphere content, other non-Manosphere content, and we're out of here, y'all.
You are now listening to Mr. Z Blackneffect.